me hit the marble on you. I got it on here too. Don't make me play. I play.
Good morning. Good morning. Good
y'all.
morning. Welcome to another edition of the Brothers of Legacy. It is Thursday.
You
My
resonate.
brother Terry in the building. Got Dwayne should be here and Ephraim, the cousin.
You got E trouble.
Cousin of Legacy.
That's what I mean.
Yes, he said he may be, but we'll see. Because he's on the go, making some moves and trying to be on. Becomes very, very challenging. So today, we've had a tumultuous. I've been practicing that word, tumultuous.
Not the word. Tumultuous.
Yeah. Probably saying it all wrong.
Hey, Lisa.
My lips can't get together. What up, Lisa? Great morning. Good to see you, my friend. Had a kind of roller coaster of a week. That's why we had my man Matt come in, try to ease and help us process all of the emotional strain that we were feeling and dealing with.
Man, emotion, bro.
And we saw another incident happen. So just we are. It's a lot to see, a lot to process. And then my wife showed me CO. My girl CO.
Okay.
CO. Yeah, we try not to mention folks on this name because we don't want to give them any more of a platform than they have. But I realized every time I mention the name, like, who's that? I'm like, now I done introduce somebody else to you.
So what she done got into now? I know she got something.
Oh man, listen, she was the whole George Floyd thing and saying that it shouldn't have been a verdict. He shouldn't have been guilty.
Whatever. Go sit. Take
nonsense. So that kind of was irritating. But today we're going to talk about kind of who is to blame and the system that we're dealing with. How to begin to change it, how to begin to shift that narrative, how to begin to do something different. And we're going to talk about that. We're going to talk about that and other things.
We do it big around here. We do a big, real big.
we saw problems around here. We Nobel Peace Prize some stuff up in this joint. All right. So this is your opportunity to share. Make sure you share. Sharing is caring. Make sure you tag somebody else in this conversation because you're like, I know every conversation we've had, you've had it with somebody. You started.
Yeah, of course.
And you're like, you know what? We just had this conversation 4 weeks ago. I'm going to tag them. So make sure you tag them in the conversation. Even if they want to be argumentative, I have a good block button. So if they get out of control, I know how to kick them out. So don't worry if they're a little rambunctious, but it helps the algorithms, them coming in and start fussing. I'll let them put 1,000 comments up and then kick them out.
I like
comments and replies means there's something happening. Facebook's like, oh my goodness, everybody needs to see what's going on because there's a lot of comments going on in this space.
Yeah, so they tripping.
Right? and if you haven't realized, Facebook loves drama.
Ooh.
Facebook loves drama.
You know who else loves drama?
Who's that?
TikTok. TikTok plays that. TikTok has become the land of the drama abyss. It's crazy. You got one group of folk and you got another group of folk and people are being, the other group calling the other group and it's trauma, death threats. I mean, it's wild on TikTok, bro. For real. What's up, E-Trouble?
What's going on, man?
I'm glad to see you, my brother.
That's all right. Good to see you, sir.
All right. So we're going to dig into this conversation, topic, situation. So as always, hang tight. Like I said, make sure you share. Sharing is caring. My brother's about to share once we go into this intro, as well as I'm going to share. And then we're going to come back and discuss this. Peace out. I didn't want to catch that. Good morning. Welcome to another Good morning. Everybody. Oh man, I'll be inviting folks and I forgot. How'd I forget? I got somebody else coming in the building.
Hey, Deborah. Good morning.
Oh.
It's I've shared it to everybody I can share it to.
Everybody.
I done sent it to at least 20 people.
Nice.
Hold
on.
Hey V, good morning to you over there on YouTube.
Let's see. Hold on. Let's do this. How'd I forget? What's up, Jay?
What's going on, man? How y'all doing?
Trouble is in the house.
It is going down.
All
right, hold on.
What's going on, Dr. J?
It's going down.
One more thing I didn't add. This episode is brought to you by StreamYard. Whether you're trying to up your production or just go live, StreamYard is the place to be. Go to bit.ly/StreamYard BOL. This episode is also brought to you by Flocknote. Start your free text community now at bit.ly free text now. That's bit.ly free text now.
They better be cutting you a check for that.
Listen, what I need y'all to do, if you're interested, go to that link and click on, and that's where we'll get a little something back for you signing up.
Sure.
So if you're interested, go to that link and sign up.
Hey, sports car lady. Hey V, where Dwayne at?
He might be in the comments. He's in the comments.
Yeah,
he's in the comments.
He's waiting for the first comment. You know how he do.
Because I was looking too, like
what Dwayne?
Am I missing something? Like, no, that's E.
I know that's Jay, but I know we all look alike. But
you know how those Negroes are.
What's that boy name? We all just like Samuel L. Jackson and Lawrence Fishburne to get them confused.
Oh man, that was good. I'm the other black dude. I'm the what's in your wallet guy. You know? Yeah. And when he was trying to move forward,
hey, that was fun. Good morning to you.
Y'all gotta hear Cameron tell he got a story about Lawrence Fishburne that's hilarious, man.
Oh really? Yeah. Is it Cameron?
Yeah,
look that up definitely.
Yeah. Do they speak English on what?
Let's see.
Have they figured that out yet?
Don't be slow. All right. Boom, boom, boom. Yes, indeed. Willett, we gotta talk about it.
What's up, Willett?
Yeah.
All right. So, with everything going on, right, and we're all seeking some level of change in our community, and want things to be different, want things to be better, from I'll say to our poorest hoods, to our wealthiest hoods, we want us all to at least be able to eat and live, without issues, without problems, from anywhere.
Right.
So let me start off by asking, what?
No, you don't. He's wrong.
Bro. All the podcast listeners out there.
Eating on a biscuit. Just so you guys know.
You ever listen to people on the radio and it always sound like they're chomping on something? Like, yeah, you know what? I was thinking. I think the Breakfast Club does this. I'm like, what y'all eating on? Like, what's eating? All right. Let's see. The government, corporate greed, law enforcement are all to blame.
Yeah.
You're missing somebody in there.
But do we take onus? Do we take onus in what's happening in our community as well?
Right.
Because like as Kevin mentioned, the government, right? We elect our governmental officials, right? So are we not somewhat to blame for some of their actions? Now, granted, you get somebody you love, like get them in and they lose their mind because they get some money in front of them. They decide, like, you know what? I wanted a Bugatti. I'm gonna use that.
Yeah, it's the only way I like to
use
get
some
around.
of these tax funds to, or that governmental credit card. Like, there's just enough on here to, So starting out, what can we do? Is like problems in Chicago, and is more police the solution?
No, they kill us. No, well, no, not all police. No, I did that wrong. I'm sorry.
Okay.
No, what I'm saying is that's not the solution. That's the reaction. You know what I'm saying? If it's getting bad, they're armed. Let's send more people who are armed in there, because guns with more guns definitely will solve the problem. That's how they think, right?
Right.
But we have to get back, and I appreciate Kevin's comment, but that's what I'm saying. Like, let's slide us in there. We have some onus. Now, do we have an enemy of the people? Can we prove even today statistically that the government and other entities are trying to keep us down. Yes. All right. But do we play a part? Absolutely, man. Because we still hold the opportunity, and I get with Terry and Jay because I can't wait to hear what they have to say. But I'm just saying, all I'm on is if we unite together, we own it. Now y'all know I'm for reparations, and the government, they got our money. So I ain't saying stop trying to get the stuff that we need, because we need them. You know what I'm saying? So like, get their stuff, but we also gonna need us. So if Cube plan would have went through and they would have said, all right, Cube, here go $50 billion. What was the next move? Just start throwing it out? No, we need to get with a game plan. Like the thought process that money's just gonna answer everything, I think is like wrong. You need to have a game plan of how to spend that money effectively.
Right. Hey,
Hey,
if I could, real quick, I want to speak on something Ephraim said in the very beginning of his stuff there, when he said about unifying and coming together. Man, we can't stay unified more than 2 minutes, man. Listen, it was when we watched that Derek Chauvin.
Yeah, we together.
We were like, I think I was reading something to one of Jay's posts, because I always read Jay's posts. If you don't follow Jay Hamilton,
go ahead and plug him right quick, bro. If you ain't follow Jay,
Esquire, you got to make sure it's got to have the ESQ on the end. You don't land. But so I'm reading one of Jay's posts, and Jay said, we watched Derek Chauvin in unison. Everybody in unison was happy and all that. And then 24 hours later, what happened with the little girl? Up in Ohio. And now we're back divided. And so unification is a must. It's very important. But I don't think that we can do it, because we can't even agree.
We can.
You know what I'm saying?
So what is it? Is it death? Is death the unifier?
Well, we know that because we all come together as fam. We haven't seen you in 20 years. Hey, and what's our promise? Yo, son, we're gonna stay connected.
You're gonna stay connected. Yeah.
Big Mama died. Big Mama died. We're gonna stay connected. Right. And not near one of y'all call them folk back.
Oh man.
But I think
we do it all the time, right? We gonna stay connected, man. Brother.
I mean, it's crazy.
Well, I'll let y'all know. I think y'all know which way I'm gonna go with this. My question, I'm gonna answer the question with a question.
Okay.
Who brought us over here? Who made the rules? Who made the laws that hurt us?
Right.
Who invented police?
Right.
That's who's to blame. And I guess my concern is, I think that's not to say that we shouldn't try and we shouldn't exercise our best efforts.
Right.
But I want people to understand the game is rigged, right? The game has always been rigged.
Yeah.
And what we do is we navigate in spaces to increase our probability of success, operating somewhat in the sense of hope that if we do what we're supposed to do, something else will magically work out. Right. And for some people, it does. For a lot of people, it doesn't. And that creates frustration. Right. That creates people who feel like, I can see the game, I can see the system and the limitations. Right. And some people decide they don't want to participate anymore, or they're going to run counter to what the system does. Right. And it's very difficult. I think when Terry brought up the issue about Sister Brian in Ohio, the thing that comes back to me is people were so quick yesterday to start splitting off to say, oh, well, she was trying to, stab somebody. So it's different. It's not the same. And they lost the argument that we made in the whole Derek Chauvin case. It's not about whether or not policing should be involved in diffusing. Why do we always jump to deadly force when it's black people, but white people can kill 52 people and they get a whopper? I don't understand. So
they got live.
Yeah, I agree with. I've never been able to understand that. Never.
Yeah, if the white person doesn't kill themselves, they're gonna live.
Absolutely,
the police won't kill them. Yeah,
absolutely.
Yeah,
and
you saw how Chauvin was looking when he got found. He was like,
"I'm telling you, I don't care what nobody. I don't tell you, I don't care what nobody says. I had the caption of the year, and it said when I posted the same picture when he was in his mask, and my caption said, "If what in God's name just happened was a person." That was Derek Chauvin in his mask.
Yeah.
What you thought, bro?
So
get convicted.
Okay, so we we know the system is rigged.
Yes.
We we know the game or the manual is different for us.
Yep.
In essence, like it, we know we have to play it, unfortunately, different than everyone else. But hold on, let me bring my brother Dwayne Goodson in the building.
Gentlemen.
What I will say, is there how do we navigate the system? How do we navigate this rule book that's different for us? And then, other than, of course, telling our sons, and I know it's no guarantee. I know, comply, listen, because I don't want to even start off just comply. I know.
You could be at your house,
right? Complying at your house and still catch one. Like, how did this happen? How do we begin to at least not even come together, but each one try to stand up, be more upstanding, to help change or affect the system?
First of all, black folk have never had a problem rigging anything. We'll get your rules and flip them. I don't know what the original rules to Uno are. I don't know what the original rules to Monopoly are. I know how we play them at black folk house. You feel me? So we'll flip the game. We got people out there running scams on the stimulus checks. We'll flip the system. What we have to do,
food stamps, total nine.
We got to figure out, we got all that figured out, man. Food stamp going 50 for the 25, all that. We'll get there, right? So but what we have to do is try to make it a little bit more all inclusive. A lot of these rigs, a lot of these scams benefit that one person. Like, we're not rigging the system in a universal kind of way, if that makes sense. Like, so let's get in there. Let's fandango. Let's maneuver. Let's make it happen. But let the community benefit a little bit better, if you feel what I'm saying. Like, okay, now, first of all, with Jay being here, I do want to say to scam the government and steal a stimulus check is definitely wrong and illegal. And I know anybody on this show promotes stealing from the government, because they will come get you. But what I'm saying is, in your wrong,
you can call Jay as your lawyer, is what you say.
Right. Let me DM that boy $1 right quick. So I can put him on the roll. So if you're going to do the wrong, how you get $1 million stimulus check and all you do is the Lambo? Like you couldn't even, I don't know. It's all about the weave extensions. It's all about the Gucci. Like $1 million. And you had $1 million worth of dreams. Like, I'm okay. Now, I'm not saying it's hard to spend $1 million. I get that. But what I'm saying is, that's the extent of your vision. Gucci and hair extensions and Bugattis. Like, you know what I'm saying? Like, we can't build up the community or throw something here, throw something there. So just something
more. They never did nothing for me. They ain't did nothing for me. Nothing.
I don't even know them people.
Yeah, I'm gonna send you some pink. I'm gonna send you some pink lotion, bro. I got you.
Always looking up.
Looking up big time.
I think we learned another valuable lesson with this Derek Chauvin case that people might not have gotten, right? So sometimes it's just about being the best you possible. Right. And what I mean by that is, this case had fallen between the cracks until it landed on the desk of a black state attorney general. Right, who said, I want to reevaluate this because I don't think what they did in the first place was right. This case would have been a wash, but for a black police chief who said, I'm willing to do something highly unpopular in my field and go on the stand and take the stand against one of my own officers, right? It wouldn't have been what it is without the 9 eyewitnesses, largely black people, who were willing to come to court and testify. Right. And it certainly wouldn't have been what it is without the black dude that was working for the state as a state's attorney. And it wouldn't have been the same without, I think it was like 6 black people on the jury, or at least 4 black people on the jury. So, I mean, that in and of itself is very revolutionary compared to what you usually see in a court system, and how many of these cases fall between the cracks because we don't have black participation. Sometimes we have a tendency to feel like if you aren't a pro athlete or if you aren't a doctor, that you aren't doing it, right? But it doesn't take all of that. All it takes is somebody who is willing to play their role in civic engagement. Right. And if that means being a juror, if that means, being involved in helping the kids in the community. Like I tell everybody, like, one of the best things that happened in our community, we had a lady who used to work at Duke. It's an old black lady. And she used to work at Duke, and she said, I don't see a lot of black kids at Duke. So what did she do? She would get a bus and get a whole bunch of us from the community to come spend the day with her at Duke, right? Just to see what it's like. Now, none of us ain't getting to know Duke, right? We ain't getting to Duke. But at the same time,
go down to Shaw over there.
when you see it, exactly, when you see what the campus atmosphere is like, then college isn't intimidating anymore. Mm-hmm. Then you're going to say, well, how do I get here? Oh, you got to take the SAT. She got a person for that, right? So you can start putting together the building blocks. Right. And I think back now, unfortunately, she's not with us anymore, but I think back now at the number of kids who were able to grow up and be successful and not do the destructive stuff we was doing before, because now we know better. And when you know better, you do better. Right. On top of that, like I'll tell all of you, I'm making my pitch for people to go to law school because as much as
you got my vote for state attorney when you do run.
Hey man, I appreciate that.
Yeah, hey, no, you out there, but I know you go.
As much as I try to do to fix a lot of the social injustices that are kind of embedded in the law, like I am only one person. That's right. And this stuff is I'm in rooms with people talking about housing finance, talking about criminal justice reform, talking about politics. I can't be an expert in all of those areas. No. So that's like I need help. And if people are able to do it, I know it's an expensive prospect. I know it's a difficult prospect, but you have people out here who will be able to help you, myself included. And if you're able to do it and get into these rooms, we can always build coalition around you being the expert in that field and me being able to do it. I pitch that because I think the thing about a law degree is that it puts you in a zone of power and influence so that you are only 6 degrees of separation away from people who actually make decisions and pass laws, right? And a lot of these people, now that I'm in those rooms, now that I'm in those rooms, what I see is they just lack exposure to understanding what's going on because they never had to live in public housing. Absolutely. They never had to live under these conditions. So they're like, oh, I don't understand what the problem is. If we have enough people who are voicing the concerns of the community, then that changes to an extent. There's still going to be an element of people there who don't want you there and who constructed these limitations intentionally to keep you divided and to keep you confused and to keep you stagnant. But the whole point is we can't worry about them. We have to do what we have to do to push the envelope forward.
Even when you were saying that, bro, I had appreciation for different world. Like the exposure made me. We took my sister to Tallahassee, my older sister, and we drove through the campus and we saw like all these brick buildings. She went to Florida State, so I'm like, in my head, I'm not lying. Like I locked in brick to meaning like college or whatever. But I'm just saying, it's just the visualize and attack, the Bobby Boucher that you're talking about. It's kind of like, you know what I'm saying? I see the importance of it.
You know what's funny? And if I can real quick, to answer the question that I listened to y'all answer at first, I'm gonna refer back to his first answer, right? Which is 100% correct. I'm not going against that, but who's to blame? Well, you don't need a black police chief when you got a video, right? You don't need black witnesses and black jurors when you have a video. But how do we get through it? You play the game, and like he said, you adapt the rules, you switch it up. Right. This is the reason why you needed all those things, because we see that video enough. I mean, what if you got video? What other evidence do you need? What really cross-examination of a witness do you need? Did he choke him? Did you see him? No, it was on video. Why do we need the black police chief to actually be black and empathize with black people at that moment? If the system isn't jacked up to the point, I know I'm not the only person. I thought Rodney King's killer. I mean, beatings. I just knew. I just knew. He gone. I had video then too. And that was like, whoa! Somebody done got that news camcorder out there. They got it. I was like, they going to jail.
Finally,
not guilty. Not guilty. Not guilty. Not guilty. So
it was crazy.
I was kind of stuck. I was like, okay, we got a video, but we seen how that worked out in the past.
That's not enough.
So we know what the rules of the game look like, because you can have a video and nothing happens, right? So how do you play the game? Well, Jay just gave us a recipe in the legal side.
Yeah.
You got to get involved in the policing.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Although sometimes I was the most hated person in a uniform because I was this in a uniform. You sell out Uncle Tom working with the oppressor. You know how many times I got that on a daily?
I don't imagine, bro.
How were you treated with the cops? Is it no black, no white, only blue? Real?
See, cops, about 75% of them, it was blue. It was us versus the world. Some of them had a super, it's being policing supersedes everything you do in life, transcends everything. There was a handful of those. And then there was a bunch of people like me too. It was like, yeah, this is a serious job, but we got to do it the right way. But yeah, it's one of those things when you look at it. How do you adjust the rules of the game? Well, you got to put yourself in the game. You can't play the game unless you're in the game.
Absolutely.
So that police chief, he realizes that I'm in the game and my decisions right now is going to affect this country indirectly and directly. So I got to be responsible and accountable. So let me get on the stand.
AD, if you don't mind, let me ask Dwayne and Jay this because y'all can speak on both sides. That belief, because I thought it was we got each other's back, right? So what is the response that police chief is going to get from his men going forward? Like, did they feel like he did the right thing, the wrong? I know that's hard to answer, but is he going to be respected? Do they see like you snitch? Ain't that snitching? Don't police talk about snitching too? Like, what they
not like Cameron. We don't talk about it like Cameron do. But no, for the law enforcement side, right? I'll just say this: cops, good cops, the cops that everybody always say, well, not every cop is bad. Right. Well, that is a truth, but nobody cares about that. However, for the cop, right? We are not me anymore, but cops are tired of those type situations. Why? Because now they're putting themselves in additional danger because of racists, because of bigots, because of people who like the way things are, people who can't sympathize and empathize. Not every cop wants to get into a situation where they got to pull their gun. Most cops are satisfied. Not all. Most cops are satisfied if they go throughout their entire career and never have to pull their gun. Right. Yeah. I was a soldier and I didn't want to pull my gun. I done shot and probably hit flesh and blood on multiple occasions before, but I still don't want to pull my gun. The one time I did pull my gun, I got the target practice over there. I pulled the trigger, had every intentions of shooting, and would have been justified, but I got a bad round. And I don't know how much you guys know about guns, but a Smith & Wesson and a used inside of a Glock, that's usually a great success rate, Right. It didn't fire. I had a firing pin indention in my bullet and everything. Went through internal affairs and everything. Came back, they gave me the bullet. I went to the range. I pulled the trigger at 40 yards, hit it dead center. So I know God was looking out for me, but most people, that's not what they want. Right. But then you got some of those who go out every single day. I'm looking to get somebody. Like literally, that's the mentality. Right. I got you. Not even shooting somebody, but I'm looking to make an example out of somebody today. Let me see how I can protect. Right. How I can keep things from happening. Community. Oh, I'm finna go. Hey, look, I'm finna go park on the southbound lane of 75. I'm gonna find some dope today. Wow. I mean, there are people with those mentalities. It's like I suspect it's everywhere. But absolutely, it's a sad thing because people forget about the majority because the majority really don't matter in the final equation. It's about what all these that are making the news are doing. Right.
That's interesting. If I can go, I'm sorry. If I can go back and we were talking about the HBCUs and he shot out a different world. I just want to say real quick that's actually absolutely true. That can change the perspective of our youth, right? Because where I live directly into the University of Missouri, right? Is literally down the road.
Wow.
And so if we're going downtown Columbia or someplace, I always take the college route because I can just hit one road, and next thing you know, we're on the campus.
Right.
And so we pass frat houses, going down to and sorority houses, and Zariah is, oh my God, Dad, what's that? What does that mean? And what does that mean? I'm like, I don't know, none of them mean. I don't know. If it ain't AKA Alpha or Omega Phi Psi, I don't know. And so she sees it, and she's like, she's like, Dad, if I go to college, can I get into one? Yeah, you gotta pay for it. Well, yeah, you can get it. But as long as you desire to higher the education, I'm with that. But that's where this stuff starts, man. And you're talking about making changes. We first have to understand that we're in the game. So, a lot of people that don't think they're in the game. This is just something. This is life, and they don't see what's going on. They're like, "Well, they just refuse." Me and AD had a brother on the Buzz Who Talk a while back, and I don't know if it was Felix. I'm not sure who said it, but he says one of the worst prisons to be in is the one that you don't know that you're in.
Right.
And so as long as you don't, if you don't recognize the fact that you're in a game, you're never going to get to the other side because you got to first realize it's a game.
Right. So, Jay, you said something that was poignant. You said kind of like, and Dwayne kind of added to it. I mean, from a different perspective, but you spoke about, it took the police chief, the other cops, the witnesses, and everybody coming together, and a DA that was willing to go after it. If you pause on that, some of these are elected officials, So this is showing like voting at work.
Right.
This showing they put the right people in office. So the one component to us making change is voting in the right people, and I know it's easier or more comfortable or seeing someone that looks like you feel like will have the same fight. But as we know, there's the CEOs of the world that look like us, but we know darn well if they was on that jury, it wouldn't go that way. But we have to know who's who. That and we have to begin to and get in the election process, find out as much information as you can. Know if someone's already in office, how they've been voting, how they've been acting, what they've been going after. Right. So that's the first telling way. Another thing, so from that perspective, voting is one of the answers. That's something we control. Voting who's in your local election, who becomes your mayor. And if you can't get your police chief, you can get your mayor who appoints a police chief. Right. And as we know, everybody picks who's in that same mindset. I need you to do what I can't do from the ground. So absolutely. You got to keep that in mind. So my second thing, and going back to the Chicago crisis, and I'm just picking that because Atlanta has a crisis, LA has a crisis, New York has a crisis. A lot of these cities are having some serious crisis. And even small, not small, but Texas and things of that nature. What do we do? What can we do from the other side of this coin, with our neighborhoods? We want the best thing we want the police to do is get the people that are causing the issues. Of course, we know it seems like those aren't the ones getting shot. Like I don't, like the ones that seem to be the problem are never being the ones having the issues. So what can we do in this space to begin to change things with those kind of neighborhoods or our neighborhoods? And I know this is not like a simple answer, but it's just what can we do to begin to change that trajectory? So
I think the first step in that is we have to look at economic opportunity, right? Yes. For a lot of these places, I mean, we talked about Chicago. You do realize that Martin Luther King was talking about Chicago, right? This isn't a new problem. This is something that has been going on since before the Civil Rights Movement, because Chicago's infrastructure was never developed in such a way to give Black people a fighting chance. We left the South to go to Chicago to work in the factories and mills, but then the factories and mills wanted to be discriminatory, and then they wanted to end up taking black land and converting it to being part of Chicago Greater. So I think we have to understand on one end that there wasn't economic opportunity spread throughout. But at the same token, because we have to also be able to rig the system like Ephraim was talking about, we need to have people who are innovators, who are willing to go and invest money into the infrastructure of Chicago and actually recruit the local Chicago talent there. Because the funniest thing about Chicago is it gets a bad rap, but they got tremendous talent. If you've ever been to Chicago, you see the architecture, you see people in the music industry, you see people in business, like they have everything that you
Polish sausages,
absolutely. People make Harold's Chicken. They make chicken into something that could be a Fortune 500 company, right? So like it's one of those things where I feel like they have all the tools. The problem is they haven't been disseminated through, and this isn't just, I think this isn't even just Chicago. This is anywhere that there are Black people. We need to be working on creative ways for new innovation and entrepreneurship in those communities and accessing that with financing that's going to be able to provide for it. Whenever you add financing into the mix, I think that's where the discrimination starts because you don't necessarily trust that Black people gonna make the money back or pay the money back. And I think that's a narrative that needs to shift. I also think there are
I'm about to say that's how you shift it. Pay the bills.
Well, I also think though, there are a lot of people who get rejected before they even have an opportunity to try. Right. And I think it would help if we got, there's a campaign going on right now with Black celebrities who are now kind of adopting HBCUs that they want to foster into the next kind of generation. I think we need to do that in a city specific lane as well.
Like where though? If you had $1 billion, you start what city?
Oh, well, me, I gotta pick Durham because that's
that's home, baby. That's home. I'm the same way. We're going home.
But at the same time, I feel for me, it wouldn't, if it's a matter of me having $1 billion versus each one of us splitting $1 billion and reinvesting, I think I'd much rather split it amongst the 5 of us and we all develop our home.
So, what's up, Pastor? But Jay, what you talking about? That's true because you share the load. You know what I'm saying? Like the same format, like when you invest in for profit, I might not receive as much as on the net that I would have, but like I also didn't set myself up for that much of a risk of losing either. You know what I'm saying? Because I split it amongst everybody. So the gain is a little smaller, but the risk is smaller too.
Right.
But the potential for overall gain grows. It's like the body. How many times you gone to the gym and see somebody work everything except those legs?
Right. Yeah.
One of my best friends do that.
And look, I'm telling you, and not throwing Pastor Brian under the bus, but I'm pretty sure that Pastor Brian can tell you, because he used to work the whole body. I'm pretty sure he could tell you that some of them dudes that didn't have no legs got knocked out quick.
Yeah.
and it's a crazy analogy, but it's the same thing with our community. It don't matter that Kanye's rich. It doesn't matter that Jay's rich.
No.
Not when the rest of the neighborhood still looks like it ain't worked his legs in decades. I mean, it's like
the neighborhood is
Jay said. Yeah, like Jay said, you have to take that and bring it back to the base. He said something earlier that these communities, a lot of these communities, they are who they are and they act the way they act because that's all they know. Until you can change that part, I don't care how much money you drop in the neighborhood. If you're not changing the information that's being poured and mentored into these young kids. Look, I've Chicago, Jacksonville, any of these places, it start with somebody wanting love in these communities, and Pops is in jail because of, hey, you had crack cocaine, not cocaine, so you got 15 more years than the dude that you got it from. So now you're in jail and you got 4 kids, and your 4 kids are on 63rd, 64th, and MLK, and big homie, hey, I know you want these Jordans. You can't get no Jordans, but I got some I'll buy you some ones if you take this over to the next building. And all of a sudden,
you brought up Jay-Z. You brought up Jay-Z.
Yeah.
Oh,
right? Was that decoded?
It's crazy.
Let me quote your boy. I'm from the place where the church is the flakiest, and niggas be praying to God so long that they atheists. That's Jay-Z, right? So not all the teachers, now all the teachers couldn't reach me, and my mama couldn't beat me hard enough to match the pain of my pops not seeing me.
So,
right? So when you it's funny when you bring up that name, right? I struggle because there are two sides to the person when you read about him. Now this is Eric Dyson's book, right? And he gives you the spin because he gives you the lyricist, the genius of the lyricist, right? But he also gives you the pain of the street,
right?
Okay. So the question is,
where I'm from, Marcy, son, ain't nothing nice.
Right. So when you bring him up, you have to properly position him, and even Kanye, because unless you can see through their lens, you'll never understand how they got to where they are or why they do what they do in the manner that they do it. So you have people that hate him, you have people that love him, but everybody has to respect the hustle.
Absolutely.
No point.
But when you read those lyrics, when you read that excerpt from the book, you said the exact same thing I just said. Pops wasn't there. It creates monsters. And when you got somebody who doesn't have an identity, and then somebody in some way, shape, or form acknowledges their existence in any way, shape, or form to make it seem like affection, you've created everything. You have your Frankenstein. So what happens when this nation has created an army of Frankensteins? And now they look at the Chicagos, now they look at the Memphises, now they look at the Jacksonville, the Bushwicks, the Canarsies, and all these other places. And it's like, oh, these places are only good for a couple things: gentrification and prison, community to prison pipeline. Those are the only thing they're good for, and it works. Why? Because at the end of the day, an ounce of prevention will always be worth more than a pound of cure. You wonder why now we have these problems? Because they're rampant. Do you blame the person?
But you can't say they're only good for gentrification and what'd you say?
Prison.
The community to prison pipeline.
Community to prison pipeline, and then say an ounce of prevention is worth more than a pound of cure. Those are contradictory.
How
is a pipeline to prison prevention?
No, I'm not calling that prevention. What I'm saying is, before redlining, thank you, FDR, for all of y'all loving y'all greatest president. Let me just let you know, FDR in his 4 terms in office created redlining. But I digress. When I say ounce of prevention, I'm going back historically and speaking. I'm not talking about right now. I'm talking about the vagrancy laws. I'm talking about redlining. I'm talking about the lack of civil and human rights, the lack of voting, and the way this country was formed. And then
but you what you were doing is giving the contrast.
Right. Yeah.
Okay. I got you now. I thought you were putting them both together, but you're giving the contrast between the pipeline to prison and gentrification.
And not jumping you, AD, but even on this question you got from Willette, it's kind of like AD kind of hitting on that. I'm sorry, Dwayne's hitting on that. Like it's and that's the real who to blame right there. Who made us? Because we by nature, the black people are by nature communal. You know what I'm saying? Like that's what we do. So when they start, even back in the days, and removing families, separating families, because this stuff is taught. You know, I got a lot of thoughts about the Jewish community, but one thing I do give them credit for is just they have, I feel, only second to us they have a strong oral tradition. They pass their stuff down. This is what's important. This is kind of what we represent. But if you know, I feel a lot of that stuff comes from the father. I feel like that comes from the mother. I feel like it comes from strong families, like individual little families making up a big village, if you will. So when you start attacking the family, the son and daughter, they don't know what they want to be at 6. The daddy locked up, you feel me? The mama can't get like you, and that's not every situation. But what I'm saying is when those things are shaky, Jay talking about the family being the church being flaky, when the family flaky, because the church ain't nothing but little families, you know. So when that's shaky, you know what I'm saying? Like back in the day when your daddy get up and say everybody gotta go to church, where you think everybody going? You know what I'm saying? So if he's not there present, you know what I'm saying? Like if you don't have that strong praying mother, and I'm not trying to just assign straight roles. I know I'm saying old way how it used to be. I get that. But I'm saying there was a structure that led to communal type living. And when an individual is strong, that's how your church gets better. If pastor got everybody at his church, once somebody learns how to they go to law school, once somebody becomes a notary, now Solomon's temple just got better because in that church they have a carpenter, in that church they have a notary. You know what I'm saying? Like, so that's the same way in the community. As we individually become stronger, the community just by happenstance, purposeful happenstance, becomes better.
Listen, first and foremost, you don't have to sugarcoat what you're saying. Don't be shy about it. You said I'm not trying to say, but the reality is that the truth is going to be uncomfortable for people who don't want to face the truth, right? And you point you are spot on with what you said, and I mean, and even Dwayne, you're spot on with what you're saying. But the reality is, it does begin with the father. It absolutely begins with the father. I found out, I was having a conversation with someone last night, and we were talking about ministry, and the woman of God said, do you know the difference between a pastor and a shepherd? Right?
Well, good question.
Mm-hmm. How good is that question?
Yeah, I thought it was the same. Is there a difference?
It's not on a simple level.
Right. I would.
Yeah, because a pastor is an overseer.
Right.
But a shepherd is a protector. Right? A pastor can administrate, but a shepherd orchestrates. A shepherd keeps the flock. A pastor oversees a congregation.
Right.
And what I've learned, and this is why I'm talking about fatherhood is so critical, because we're supposed to be the covered. So, you talk about the praying mama and all of that, but do you realize that statistically, when a woman leads a family to church, the statistics are far lower for continued commitment than they are when a father leads a family to church?
Right.
The numbers skyrocket when the father's leading the family to church, as you alluded to just a minute ago, Terrell, versus when a mother leads the family to church. Now, understand this. When I say this, I'm talking about to Christ, because mama will take you to church, but daddy will get you to Christ. Mm-hmm. That's a fact. Father, not daddy, father. Right? So the numbers work better when men are in their rightful position. It's just that's just the way that it is, because it was designed that way. So an attack on the father is an attack on the family.
Right.
And we've gotten so far behind. We talk about why there's no community. The community is lacking because fatherhood is lacking.
Absolutely.
Now, I'm not saying we're absent. I'm saying that it's the lacking. Concept of fatherhood is lacking. Mm-hmm. Right? Yep. And it's not because men don't want to be fathers. It's because the resources aren't there to support and encourage and push fatherhood.
Yep.
That's the reality.
Can I give a quick analogy? Because what you're saying just started. It took me to football. Now, I don't know how many of you guys play football, but on defensive side of the ball, the linebacker is the key, right? Mm-hmm. You find what the linebacker is. You can make your reads. You can make your cuts. You build a play based on what you're going to do to the linebacker. And if it's the offense, you want to get to the quarterback, right? Well, the father kind of plays the same role in on both sides of the ball. And anything that you do in football, if you're on offense, you're trying to ISO that linebacker wherever he is. You're trying to get him out the play. Well, guess what the first rule of game for us is? To get the black man off the field, out of the play. That's why drugs, that's why prison, that's why all of these things that hinder us so much is at the top of the list. Why? Because it gets the most powerful thing off the table. And when you don't have that on the table, you can go into a community and do anything. Right. When the Panthers were regulating Oakland, do you think you could just come in and sell dope if you wanted to? You think if you was a cop, you can come in and push people around if you wanted to? No, that's why they had to get rid of the Panthers. So let's flood these neighborhoods with a whole lot of dope.
Yeah.
Okay, so I hear you. I understand because it's a where we at kind of thing, right? Mm-hmm. So my first question, Pastor mentioned. So what are the resources that you feel are missing? So we're getting to the place of who's to blame, but how do we take onus? What resources are missing for fathers? What resources?
Well, I mean, you know what? That's why we need Dr. Rollins on here. That's why Dr. Rollins should be on here this morning.
That's
when you talk about the resources that are missing, you got to talk about, you know, the incentives for engaging fathers, right? The programs that, like, I'll give an example. Both of my daughters, my youngest two daughters have been cheerleaders in high school.
Right. Mm-hmm.
I go to the school for cheerleading meetings in the event that my wife can't get on the days my wife can't go.
Okay.
I'm sitting in the cheerleading meetings and I'm surrounded by mothers, cheer moms, they call them.
Right.
Now there's like 3 fathers in the room. There's probably 40 people in the room and 3 of us are fathers. The coach is talking to the room.
Right.
And the coach keeps saying, okay, moms. And I'm looking around.
Right.
Yeah. Right. And I see 2 of the men. Right. And so I'm saying, wait a minute. Question. Yes, sir. Do you recognize that there are men in the room?
Right.
Yeah.
Yes. Oh, I'm sorry. I keep saying moms, right? Yeah, but you can see clearly that there's dads in the room.
Yeah.
So the fact that you can see and you ignore the fathers is offensive.
Right. That's powerful.
Yeah.
So
that's pretty much happening. Yeah.
But we're conditioned to not see black fathers. Okay.
Yeah, right.
No doubt. Conditioned. And when my grandchildren have moved here, I've been taking my grandsons to school every morning for like 3 weeks, every day. I skipped 1 week because they went back to Kentucky to visit. From the first day of school, my daughter, their mother has not been to the school yet.
Right.
It's only been me. I've had to check them out. I put them in school. I pick them up from school. I got the little placard is in my van.
Right.
To pick them up from school. So I go to sign my grandson, my 3rd grader, out of school. Now I'd have been into that office several times when he needed an extra mask. Right. And every time I go in, I have to show my ID, and I say, hey, I'm Paw. I'm the grandfather. Right. I go to check him out of school, and the same lady that I see, she's like, "Are you the dad?"
Right.
No, I'm the grandfather. Do you have your ID? Well, yeah, but can you at least acknowledge that you've seen me before?
She thought you was a janitor. She seen you so much. She didn't think you were
thought that boy worked there.
You worked there. You worked there.
Bro, I mean, seriously.
Over there. Clouds over there.
Yeah, like, you know, I would like, you know, it's so amazing to me. And I'm saying I've had this even with my daughters. I go to the school and I got to go, you know, I go to schools. I am not an absent person. I'm in the schools.
Right.
And they act like I'm a stranger every single time I come in there. And I'm like, you can't tell me that you don't recognize me. Right. Especially when, you know, one of the problems is you don't see enough of us. So when you do see us, we should stand out.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Look, one of my daughters is Black and Korean. Her mom, and I always like you. I was in the school so much I could have been a teacher. And I'm walking my daughter from the office to our car and get stopped by a teacher and said, "Is that your child?" I didn't completely feel disrespected simply because, okay, you see a man with a child. Okay, I can buy that. But then I had hair then. Then she had the nerve to say, well, you got different texture of hair than she does. Ooh.
She should have stopped while she was ahead.
And at that point, and this is why I think some of us have to get to the point where if somebody's not hearing you, make your voice heard.
Right.
So I turned and educated the woman. I was like, how many chromosomes? And I was like,
straight to the chromosomes.
I was like, do you understand genetics? I was like, normally I would have said nothing, but I was like, I'm at this school sometimes twice a day at a minimum every day.
Right.
Yeah. I was like, my children have been going to this school for 5 years. Right. Yeah. I've been at this school longer than you've been at this school. And you don't understand genetics to the point that you don't understand how this could be my daughter. Wait a minute. My eyes are kind of dominant. You see how they droop downward? Do you see anybody's eyes who droop down? I literally pulled the Mario card. I was like, look at my daughter's eyes.
She ain't never gonna forget you.
She's half Korean, and instead of her eyes slanting upward, they slant downward like her father's. I was like, how do you expect that to happen outside of genetics? And now I know you don't know that, but there was a different way you could have asked the same question.
Yeah.
Right. Yeah. So I asked the missing resource question. I know Dr. Rollins can run the list. She has statistics. I just, because we're here and I'm seeking more of the personal opinion, like your experience, Pastor, mine as well, being in the room, like literally most of the school is in this room and it's probably maybe about 4 or 5 of us guys, and the rest, the 90% are the wives or mothers. And which is the mantra, we don't stand out, we stand up, meaning, we're visible. We need to be more visible in our communities, in our areas like school. And it took me a while before they knew who I was. Like, hey, now they know Mr. Walker, they know me, it got to the point where they were like, oh, is that Miss Walker? So we do have to be more present. I think shifting, because I feel like for so long.
You said we have to be more present. I think what happens is sometimes you are discouraged by what you experience when you show up.
Yeah.
Right. That's the issue, and I think that's one of the things that we have to start addressing. It's one thing to not show up. It's another thing to be discouraged when you do show up.
Right.
Yeah.
I'm with you on that.
Acknowledge, and I like, no one's looking for a pat on the back, but don't act like I'm not here.
Right.
I'm sorry. Go ahead, sir.
No, I'm just like Dr. Rollins just put it in there. You have to be more welcoming when fathers show up to the school. It's, there's been this tremendous argument about that term, it's a man's world.
Mm-hmm.
Right? Well, let's not make it a woman's world.
Right.
Right. Let's make it free flowing and open to everybody. So I think that's one of the critical factors is when fathers do show up, recognize that they're there. That's something that's going to encourage fathers to come out and be a part of what you're doing, because what happens is not only are they there for their children, they become a figure for more children who may not have fathers showing up. Right.
It's a beautiful thing.
I'm going to be more open to dealing with other children when I feel like I'm in a welcome space.
Right. How you doing, Mr. McCrory?
Right.
Hey, what up, Mark?
I was listening to a bishop out in Hayward, California. He was saying at the baby dedications, he said sometimes the father doesn't show up. He said if the father does show up intentionally, he almost forget the baby and start talking about how he appreciates. And he said he does that whether they're married, not all that. How he starts going in on, hey, I appreciate you being here, blah, blah, blah. He makes it like a big deal. Then he sprinkle a little water on the baby and go home. So you have to make the people feel not like, and Pat McCoy said something one time that kind of challenged me. He was like, he don't like a lot of credit because he's kind of doing his job, but it's like, I still want to give you credit because it's just, forget how often it's happening or not happening. It's just an amazing thing to see happening. Mm-hmm. I used back before a lot of this weight, I used to play defensive back. And if you ever, I still watch YouTube tapes of it to see that position. it's almost like an art form. If y'all watch Deion Sanders, I know he's fun and exciting, but if you just watch the one-on-one coverage, whether the ball comes his way or not, the best thing I've ever seen put on cleats. So like when you see something performed to the way it's supposed to perform, it's an appreciation for
when you see it function properly.
Yeah, you know what I'm saying? So I get what Pastor was saying, like, you know what I'm saying, I should be doing this, but I appreciate that you're doing it.
I think the flip side of that is he's comfortable just being and doing what he's supposed to do the way he was purposed to do it. So it's not anything that he wants praise for. But for people who don't see that often, that's an encouragement. It's like, oh, that's what we look like when we do it. Oh, that's how it looks. Oh, wait a minute. So you are the Moby Dick for some people. Because not everybody sees it. We are out here.
Right.
And we are growing into those positions, those of us that had issues at some point in the past. But the reality is we see the dysfunction more than we see the function. So when we see the function, it amazes us.
Yeah, exactly.
But you know what, though? Let me tell you something. If you're doing, here's the thing that you got to realize. Fatherhood is not designed to make you famous.
Right.
Right?
No.
Fatherhood is not it. See, if you're doing your part, nobody's gonna see you.
Right.
Yeah.
You understand? That's why it's hard to accept, because I'm saying the thing is, it takes work. And ain't nobody got time for no cheering squad. I gotta get, No, I mean, I'm trying to keep it real. Like, we appreciate those things. We appreciate, like, for me, let my dinner be on time. That's like winning the lottery.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
Rub my feet.
Yeah.
That I mean,
both of them.
Those little things. So,
I love the tiger.
So what I'm saying, like, to AD's question, these are things that we like. For me, I do it because I know what it is not to have it.
Yeah.
And I don't want anybody else to have that type of experience. You understand? The other thing that we need is for our women, our mothers, to make room. Our mothers got to get out of the way sometimes
and let it be.
So fathers can be fathers. You understand? You might have more information, but you're not ordained for that.
Yeah.
That's the key.
Yeah.
Men make men.
Yeah.
That don't mean you can't raise them. And nobody disqualifying no mothers, because I tip my hat to them. I'm the product of a single parent household. My mama did it all. I tell you the story. I played wiffle ball with my mom. She stood outside in the front and she wanted to be my coach. She was tossing the wiffle ball. I had one of them wiffle bats with the fat end. And she was pitching to me in front of our house, and I hit the ball, man, and it smacked her right in the chin.
You said that's
Did you run?
Man, I almost passed out. I almost freaked out, man, because I hit my mama in the chin with the wiffle ball.
I know that feeling.
That was a purpose. That was a purpose.
Right? And she just shook that thing off, man.
Right.
And but what I'm saying is, that was my mama. You're not supposed to hit your mama in the face with a ball.
Right.
But there was no father there. So I'm saying you do. Mothers have done what they've needed to do. They've been holding this thing together. Right. But what I'm saying is, when fathers are available, when they're around, get out of the way.
Yeah, my mother-in-law, her family, like the way they treat me and my brother-in-law. When we go over there, they I mean, as soon as you come through the door, is he all right? How you doing? Did he get a plate yet? All that kind of stuff. Right. And then I just go over there in the living room and sit down and they gossip and talk. So, but like when I say I love coming over there, I really don't do nothing. But the feeling they give, you know what I mean? The way, so it doesn't cost much to make you feel like this. Like, so that line leader at these schools and what do you call the people who monitor like the parking lot and stuff? You like with small interactions, man. I got a great relationship with Dunkin' Donuts, and I'll be there at the window for 2 seconds. So, like, they call my name, they look at my kids, all that kind of stuff, and it just takes a little bit of time. So, if that usher could get that message, you know what I'm saying? If those of these people we interact with can get that message, it would make a huge difference, and it would encourage people to come back, to show up, to do what they need to do.
And it goes beyond that, E, because when I was a cop, that was my mantra. I don't know what kind of day you had.
Right.
All I know is you about to see these lights behind you, and it's about to be instant tense. The situation's about to instantly be tense. I got pulled over in uniform, and it was instantly tense. I'm in uniform with a badge and a gun and blue lights behind me, and I'm like, man. So all I'm saying is that what you just described of your interaction with your in-laws, that type of interaction, if people across the board approach people that way with love and respect until you don't have because look, I'm gonna tell you, this was my mentality every single time I pulled any car over. Okay, they got 4 guns, somebody hiding in the trunk, and they want to kill me. That's how I thought every single time I walked to a car. You know how I reacted every time I walked to a car? How you doing, sir, ma'am? My name's Officer Goodson. I work with the Hateville Police Department. The reason I pulled you over today is because you made an illegal U-turn on a red light. So first thing I'm doing, even though in my head, all of y'all gonna kill me and you want to hurt me and I'm ready to do whatever I got to do, I'm gonna make you feel like you my mama. You ain't gonna have to ask me no questions about why you getting pulled over. I watch police stops and it irks me. Well, officer, why did you pull me over? Oh, I'll tell you that in a minute. No, I'm gonna put that out front so there's no tense in this situation. I pulled you over because you did A, B, or C. Right. I mean, and I can't speak for other states and other departments. At least the academy in Georgia, that's what I was taught. So for all of these people in Georgia, I don't know who's teaching. I don't know what academy or what class you went through, or who was the officer who sons you, basically who was your father in policing, because that's who people generally take the mentor. That's who you become in the streets.
Right.
So if you got people who had bigotry in their hearts teaching classes, you're going to see that translate on the streets.
Right. So
I can. I'm gonna hush. Go ahead, AD.
Before we get out of here, I got a question, and I know this ain't a simple one. How do we begin to reverse the historic poison in our community? Not just like drugs, but information, bad information. Bad visuals. A culture of trying to just get by. Getting like Jay, when you talked about the lady from Duke, taking them out of the neighborhood, change their mindset. Because a lot of times, if I didn't grow up in that kind of environment, but I've watched enough to know that if that's all you see, that's all you know. This is like the ceiling in my life is like Pookie on the corner, riding in a decent car that I know he got from doing stuff that's illegal, but that's all I see. All I see is struggle.
But you're saying it. You're giving the answer right there. You have to start showing people something different. And what happened, and I think what happens, when he talked about his experience at the family's house, they saw what they see in you is a father.
Right.
And when they see the father, then they can more clearly see themselves. Right. So when you do what you're supposed to do, you saw people who say, okay, now this is what I need to do in exchange for what I see. Let me make sure he's got something to eat. Let me make sure he's comfortable so that he's ready when his name is called. You understand? And that's the mindset that we have to have. So to AD's point, the question you just asked, we need to start showing that. Father, show what fatherhood is. And when you see it, do likewise. Show what you're supposed to be, who you're supposed to be. Don't take it for granted when they're in place, right? And when we talk about the next generation, let's begin to show the next generation something different. Now, here's the thing. They can't see it from one person.
All right.
I realize there's a lot of things that I try to show families and friends and stuff. And my family, you're going to be, Jesus was rejected. He said, the Bible says he came into his own and his own received him not. Right. If I want to get a message, sometimes if I want to get a message to my family, I say it and then I go ask a stranger to say it and they'll hear it when they hear it the second time.
That's crazy.
You understand? Yeah. And so what I'm saying is we have to develop a level of consistency in our communities. When you talked about the Jewish population, the reason why they're so effective is because everybody speaks the same language.
Yep.
In our community, you got one thing going over here at this house, you got another thing going on over here at that house. Everybody's house is different because everybody want to run their own show and there's no consistency in the language.
Yes.
Right. So we've got to get to a place where we solidify on who we are. And that doesn't mean I'm going to copycat what my neighbor or what my brother or my uncle or my auntie is doing. But I'm saying there has to be a culture of consistency with us in our families. All of us should want our families to grow and be effective and be positive contributors to the community, to society. Well, how do you do that? Well, you do that by not allowing my child to get out of order when you don't see me. Do what you know and trust and believe I would do. And I have to respect that you've done that out of love and concern for the future of my child. We got to have each other's back instead of criticizing people. You ain't got no business talking to my child. That's not your baby. It is my baby. It's in my village. It's my baby.
Right.
We got to get out the way. Community.
Get out the way.
We got to rebuild villages because we had this conversation. Was it Monday night or Tuesday night? Tuesday night. On Sisters of Legacy. Mm-hmm. What changed? Because when we were growing up, no matter where I was in town, somebody knew my mama and had permission to dig into me if they had to.
Yeah.
And that was the norm. But you can't do that now. Who you talking to? I know you're talking about baby.
Yeah.
You ain't my daddy.
She said what? What she
right.
Yeah. Okay, I'm gonna go see her. We
We
fell off at. We don't know each other anymore. I think we was talking about how many people can name 70% of their neighbors on this panel. How many people know 70% of their neighbors?
Right.
Definitely.
I know everybody in my neighborhood, and it's on purpose because I never know. I don't know when God's gonna take me, and if my wife and kids are still here, I need to know that at least somebody knew me enough or knew enough about me. Hey, let me just make sure the grass cut. Let me make sure they good down there. Hold on, the lights off. Let me go make sure they got candles and batteries. It's, little things like that. It's multiple purposes for it.
Okay,
but
I won't say 70. I got about 30%.
You getting there? You getting there? One a week.
They know. They know. They know my.
We know that one lady know everything.
Oh man, listen.
She know 100%.
Right. Oh
yeah, man. I
think that it's you have to have the mindset that your business is your business, but it's also mine if we're on the same page. Right. That's the reality, right? And the problem is, too many of us are doing stuff we got no business doing, and that's why we don't want to communicate in our communities. If we clean up our act a little bit, there's nothing to really hide. You understand? I mean, that's just the truth. In my neighborhood, I've got neighbors. I'm going out and introducing my children. Why? Because if you see this one cutting up, where to come. What house they belong to. You know exactly where to come. When I bought this house 2 years ago, within 3 months of moving in, they had a block party down the street. You know what it was designed for? To get to know the new neighbors.
Like that.
Right? Nice. Everybody on the street. And it wasn't for the entire community. It was for the intersecting streets. The street that I live on and the street that it intersected with, because we're going to see each other more than we see anybody else in the community.
Yeah.
So if you see a strange car coming up and down the street that's not familiar to you, everybody's going to be watching. If you let your neighbors know if you're going to be traveling, and they'll be watching your house. An alarm system is great, but man, when you got neighbors who have your phone number and all that, hey, there's a package on your porch. You want me to hold it till you guys get back?
Right.
It's all that kind of stuff, and we get to benefit from that stuff. Now, mind you, a lot of my neighbors are retired people.
Yeah,
they got
right.
time.
So they ain't got nothing else to do. It's the high point of their
Look, Cooper been in the backyard for about a whole day. I ain't seen Brian with Cooper the whole time. Wait a minute, somebody go knock on the door.
Yeah, they can tell when Cooper's been to the groomer. Yeah. Oh, you got the haircut, Cooper. Okay, you know what I mean. But I'm saying that's what it's supposed to be. Right. And if we can do that, man, we're going to be so much stronger. So that, to your point, AD, those are some of the things, the little things that we can do differently that will help contribute to a more positive and effective community. And we'll start seeing the impact of that in the next generation.
Definitely. Jay, you wanted to add something before?
Yeah, I was just going to say, I mean, some of the things that I think impact people also, because we have to understand not everybody's household has that father figure, right? But what does move people is being able to understand the way and means of getting money and also being able to manage money. And I think the school doesn't do a good job of teaching that kind of curriculum to people, like how to go out here and work hard to get $1 and then how to hold on to that dollar. We don't do that. So I think everything helps. Like when I was growing up, they had community centers and you could learn how to play basketball, and then there's somebody who come out and teach you about investing, somebody teach you how to checkers, like whatever, and they tore those down, right? So like I think just having a place where kids will be able to have fun sometimes, learn some things or life skills sometimes, and be able to put themselves in position. Because think about the people I grew up with, the folks who ended up going by the wayside were the folks who were allured because of money, right? The money gets you the girls get you, you know, celebrity status. But a lot of those people never left the community that they grew up in. And that's what they are. Now they're going recruiting kids, doing their thing now. So I feel like, you know, seeing people who are successful and not forgetting kind of where you came from. So if you are one of the people who got out and are successful, you can't be scared to go back to your old neighborhood, talk to people, teach a couple classes after school, whatever the case may be. So folks know that you're there and that you can be a resource for them. And then lastly, I think I echo everything else that has already been said. I think community looks a lot of different ways. We've seen that our women have been in a position where they've been holding us down for a long time, trying to take in kids that's not theirs, and make sure you got haircuts, make sure you look good, make sure you got stuff together, got something to eat. And I think now that we've got growing numbers of us who are more stabilized and in position to be able to take care and provide, we got to step up and do that too. So I think it's a combination of those factors, and I think we all have a role.
What a haircut thing.
That haircut serious, yeah.
No, listen, man.
That's confidence.
Okay, can I gripe for a minute? I want to gripe.
I ain't got none either. I
got a barber, you know, who will come to the house. He used to come to the house and cut my son's hair. When I got tired of cutting my son's hair because we letting it grow too long. Right. So I had a guy who would come to the house. Cool guy, brother. He'd been to the church. You know Jay from the barbershop across the way. Okay. And so my grandsons was here, and I was excited about introducing them to Jay. I'm like, man, he'll come right to the house and cut your hair. He comes over to cut their hair. Now he charges extra to come to the house, right?
Yeah, right. Yes, yeah.
And I'm like, look, I got haircut. Don't worry about. I got you. Right. So they come over. My boys come over to sit in the chair for him to cut their hair. And you know, my grandson, he all fidgety. He's sitting around, and Jay is like, hey. I'm trying to cut your hair, man. What you know? Right. And I have no idea that my grandson fidgets like this because he gets haircuts. Right? You're not a stranger to haircuts, so why are you sitting there fidgeting and doing all this? You know you got to sit still for this man to cut your hair. And Jay knows me. He knows I'm a structured person, and he's like, "Look, hey man, you need to sit up so I can get your hair cut. You know, we're not gonna do this." And I'm like, Junior, sit up in it. So he gets mad. My grandson gets mad because this man is telling him to sit up in a chair and get your hair cut. Now he's 8 years old, right? Right. Do you know? Now I'm just putting this out here because I'm gonna tell y'all because the pastor go through too. The line wasn't perfect for my 11-year-old's hair, so. I'm like, oh, well, I fixed that. So I go get my clippers and I shape it up. You go, okay, yeah, that's it right there. Thank you, Papa. The next time they needed a haircut, Do you know she waited till they went to Kentucky and took them back to their old barber to get a haircut? Now, we all know that the very first time a new barber cuts your hair, it's not going to be like your old barber. He's got to get to know your lines, your pattern, and all that kind of stuff.
Yeah.
So I'm like, it gets better in time.
Right.
And I'm saying, and the mistake that my daughter made is that she takes the power away.
Yeah.
From
she doubles down on it
by taking them back.
Yep.
Right. You understand?
Right. Right.
Come on, Jewish people. Leave that bull in Egypt.
It's a new city, it's a new day. You got a new barber. Right. And if you can't get it straight, I'll find somebody who can.
Right.
Yeah.
But what you don't do is undermine and take. Now, this is me, unabashed, unashamed, and putting my business in the street. Right. But that just happened. Right. You understand? And that's something that I got to deal with as a father, as a grandfather, and saying, listen, if you're going to give that to me, you can't give it and then take it back.
Yeah, it's a process.
It's a process.
Yeah,
right. Don't critique me on it. Just let me handle this.
Yeah. Right. That's true.
Because that's how our sons become weak
and start playing.
And they can't handle transition. They can't handle change, and they don't know how to work through that kind of stuff. And they quit and run back to the comfort zone, and that's how that stuff happens.
Right.
You know, and so those are things we have to do. So I thank you for bringing that up, Jay. That brought up a scar for me. But
tell them why you're mad, son. Tell them why you're mad.
But that's what I mean when I say, we have to be careful how we interact. I got to be careful, but also mothers have to be careful. We got to get on the same page with this stuff.
We have to be on the same page.
The ultimate goal is that we become more effective, and we're raising men, and we're not raising jellybacks.
Right.
And I just want to throw into what you said, because I absolutely agree with it. But you have to, and the only but is, not every man gets that access if you don't know him. The Bible says, know them who labor among you, right? In your case, there's she knows you. You raised her. Right. So there's that's not for your case. But this is the importance of knowing your community, knowing the people. So you know hearts, and you know intentions, and you know tendencies. So you can already answer half the stuff that's going to come up before it's even an issue. Like I said, that doesn't equate to anything that Pastor just said, because this is his grandson. There's obvious
but it does. It does, because it proves to you that even though it's my grandson, there's still a lesson. Yeah, right? There's still something to learn here, and this is part of the process, right? So for me, I can't be like, well, then don't ever ask me to give another haircut.
But it's kind of like, and for men as well, to, like, you put you gave your grandson to the barber for him to do his job, right? So you trust in the barber to do his thing. So he's going to talk to your grandson like, listen, I need you to sit up, boom, 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 So and you kind of reinforce what the barber is saying, but you don't take over. You know what I'm saying? Right. It's even as men, like, even my son goes to the church, pastor talks to him. There's a minister that talks, it helps train him up, because he's not just hearing my voice. He's understanding what authority is. He's understanding how to respect. And like what Pastor said earlier, he said sometimes they don't hear you. They got to hear it from somebody else. And you look at him like, son, I told you that this ain't, So it reinforces, and that's like Willis said. That's what community is. Our community, I'm the same way. My son, listen, you know who my son is. If you see this dude, come see me. I got you. So it's working together, so our children become great adults and build their own communities, and it begins to get better, because I think if we're watching over each other, even in what we consider, rougher neighborhoods, we'll watch over each other so that we can become better and no one gets in trouble,
Well, you're right. there are one-offs. That's not the majority. You're right. I believe in my heart of hearts that mothers want
they desire
fathers,
right? Definitely
in their rightful place,
right?
Absolutely.
You know, and one of the biggest struggles is your presence does not always equate to positivity. So you got to be in there. You got to be in there right with the right mindset.
Right. You know, that's true.
That's the reality. And far too often, you know, we suffer from less than productive presence of males. I won't say, because some people are in a position, but you're just a male in the position of father. You're not a father in the position of father. And far too often that is the case, which is why, you know, we say what we say. And that's why I put this out here, like I'm putting it out here, because I don't have it all together. I still have work to do. If I had it all together, I wouldn't have to worry about getting my grandson a haircut because his father would be doing that.
Right.
You understand? Right. So welcome to my drama, you know.
Thank you, Mama Corey.
Yeah. You know, so so that's why I, you know, like Terrell, that's why I don't need no pat on the back. Right. Because we still got work to do. There's still too much to do. So we got to focus. We got to zero down. We got to get in this thing and make it happen. And I love this. I love this topic, AD. Absolute awesome. Banner job on the topic, on the conversation, the content, man. This is what we need to be talking about.
Yeah, definitely. And AD, I know we're closing out, but like this kind of stuff, parenting styles, how I approach things, be some great first date conversations. I hate to come straight in after the steak we're having kids, but man,
let's not wait. Look, let's not waste his time.
Yeah, 30 minutes after I get home from work, I need a break. When they do this, I spank. When they do this, I time out. When they do this, I come up to the school. Blah blah blah. Oh, you don't like that, or that? You know what I'm saying? Like, because I think sometimes when you go in, I think like it's a little shock for everybody. The kid don't know what's happening. The mama looking like, and you just, you know, oh no, I go crazy. I'm supposed to go crazy when they do that. You know, all that kind of stuff. So conversation, man.
But that what you just said, that's called to get the day off your shoulders before you interact with your family.
Yes.
Oh, Pastor giving me he giving me Steph Curry vibes right now. Right. You know how many people that walked up to Steph and be like, man, you got a great jump shot. And Steph like, man, I'm just shooting. What you talking about? I'm just shooting.
Right. Yeah. So just try to win the game. So we appreciate you guys rocking with us. Jay, I appreciate you being in the building.
For sure. Thank you for having me.
Jay Hamilton, Squire.
Yes, indeed.
If you endure me, you need a lawyer. You need to look that brother up.
Yeah.
Yes,
matter of fact, if you're in the Piedmont, if you're in the North Carolina Piedmont area, I'm talking about Greensboro, Winston-Salem, Raleigh, Chapel Hill. I mean, if you were a student at Shaw, if you were at Central, if you were at NC State, anything within 100 miles of this man, you need to go see it.
Let me do these, Gary Jr. over there. Let me do that Atlanta commercial. Had a wreck, need a check. Call Jay. He'll put it in play.
Absolutely.
All right, guys. Let me get out of here. Appreciate you guys. Listen, tomorrow we may have some fun. I got to see what's gonna go down. But definitely thank you guys for being here. He said, we'll let through another comment at the end. A good example of building community. I recall reaching out to Pastor McCoy, asking if he would consider mentoring a young brother, and without hesitation, he offered his services, extending himself for the community to help build community. Indeed, that's awesome. That's awesome.
Well, let me put my business in the street.
Willett, why you ask me, Willett? I want to try.
There you go.
And look, hey, Pastor, you about to have about 4 more inboxes.
There it is.
All right, guys. We appreciate you. Make sure you join our community as well. Speaking of community, make sure you join our community. Text LWN to 84576. That's LWN to 84576, and you'll get all what's going down. every show that we got coming on and everything connected with the Legacy Worker Network. And we appreciate you guys as well. And we look forward to seeing you guys tomorrow, having a riveting conversation here at Brothers of Legacy, where we don't stand out, we stand up. And we look forward to seeing you. Be safe, continue to pray. I know sometimes the negative can be overwhelming, but I promise you it's going to all work out. All right. So take care. Be blessed.
I didn't want to catch that. Morning. Good morning. Welcome to another edition of Good morning, everybody.
This episode is brought to you by StreamYard. Whether you're trying to up your production or just go live, StreamYard is the place to be. Go to bit.ly/StreamYard BOL. This episode is also brought to you by Flocknote. Start your free text community now at bit.ly/free text now. That's bit.ly/free